who is the speaker for today's talk. So he is Dr. Haruna Zagoum Said. He is currently a lecturer at the Department for the Study of Religions, University of Ghana, as well as he is having a managing or management position as an executive director of Baraka Policy Institute, Accra, Ghana. So that is very brief. So let me, before I invite Dr. Haruna to start his talk, so let me just briefly make you aware about today's discussion. So we are going to have 1 hour talk by Dr. Haruna. Then after that, we are going to open for question and answers. So the whole talk will be like 1 hour and 20 minutes, 1 hour and 20 minutes. We started a bit late, so the talk is going to end by 9:30 p.m. Malaysian time. Without any further delay, so I'd like to invite Dr. Haruna to start his talk. Please, Dr. Haruna, you are welcome.
Thank you very much, Dr. Fatmir. I'm very pleased to be here, and I want to thank the IIMU for inviting me to be part of this series. I want to share my slides with you, and then we can begin. Let me see what I can say. Share. Okay, so I don't know whether you can see my
yes,
screen.
we can see. Yeah, we can see.
Very good. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Wa bihi nasta'in wa salatu wa salam ala Rasulullah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in wa ba'd. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
Alaikum salam.
Thank you very much. So, like Dr. Fatmir said, I've been asked to talk about Islam in Ghana or Muslims in Ghana, our challenges, our prospects. And so we are already late, so I don't want to even delay. But again, I will see whether I can finish a bit early so that we can get more time for questions and answers as well. This is the outline of my presentation. I will do a brief introduction, and it has to do with Ghana and how Ghana came into being. And then again, I'll give brief history of the advent of Islam in Ghana. I will look at Muslim groupings in the country today. Then I will now look at Muslim leadership structures in Ghana. I will also tell you about Muslims' activities in nation building, how Muslims have been involved in Ghana's national development. Then I will come to our main challenges facing the community, the Muslim community in Ghana today. But I will also have prospect. How do we leverage on the prospect that we have to ensure that we develop as rapid as possible? And I will conclude. And so, my introduction, I just want to introduce Ghana to you. Those who don't know Ghana, Ghana became an independent state or a nation state officially on the 6th of March, 1957. And I'm told that it is the same year that Malaysia also had its own independence. I'm told that Malaysia had independence on the 31st of August. So Ghana was a senior brother of Malaysia when it comes to independence. But again, we are told that, even though we had our own, the same independence at the same time, Malaysia jumped ahead of us. And we are told that, Malaysia even sometime came to take, palm nut tree, as an economic plant from Ghana, and then they did better with it than where they took it from. So Ghana and Malaysia seem to be, brothers, when it comes to when our journey as independent countries started. Today, according to our 2021 population census, we are told to be 34 million people in Ghana, 34 million people. And out of this 34, we are told that 71% are Christians and 19.9% are Muslims. Traditional religion and others are 9.1. But let me add that Muslims in Ghana, reject this percentage. Muslims in Ghana think that they are more than that. And in fact, some go to the extent that we can be 40%. But anytime there is population census, the figure given, Muslims reject it. But again, whether we reject or not, this is official figure that we have. So at the moment, we are almost about 20% of the population. And again, Islam, whether we are 20% or not, we are one of the major public religions in Ghana. You cannot do anything in Ghana without Muslims, and so we know the numbers count, but it doesn't matter. What is important is that Muslims in Ghana are well recognized. And I'm sure a lot of you are aware that currently Ghana, our vice president is a Muslim. We have a Christian president, and we also have a Muslim vice president. And it didn't come by chance. They look at the influence, the nature, the size of population of Muslims to determine who should be the president or the vice president of the country. So briefly, this is about Ghana. We can talk more about Ghana, but we don't have so much time. But let me come to history of Islam in Ghana and how Islam came to Ghana, and that too I'll be very brief. I'll be very, very brief. Many works have been done about how Islam entered into Ghana, but we know that Islam entered into Ghana, not by conquest, by people, by professionals, by traders who came to Ghana, then before the Gold Coast or the Gold Coast. And so we are told that by the 17th century, Islam is well established, in Ghana. And by 1700, Islam already having its real influence in the country. And we are told that by 1777, Islam and Muslims were well established in the kingdoms of the Gold Coast. Before independence, Ghana was called Gold Coast. And so even before Ghana became Ghana, Islam was already in Ghana. And by 1807, we are told that Islam has now spread. Islam entered into Ghana from the north, and it starts spreading. And by 1807, Islam has spread and established itself in the south, around the coast as well. And so Islam came to Ghana, even long before Ghana became independent, as an independent state by 1957. Now, let me tell you or discuss with you the type of groupings that we have in Ghana. We have many Muslim groupings in Ghana, and the main ones are the ones I'm going to show you. We have a Muslim group called Tijaniya. We have Muslim group called Al-Sunnah wa Jama'ah. We have the Shia Muslim group in Ghana. We have the Ahmadiyya Muslim Mission, in Ghana. And then we also have some regional, doctrinal groups, Muslim groups. We have Istiqama Muslim community. We have the Ambariya Muslim community. We have the Nuriya Muslim community. And of course, we also have the non-aligned. There are people who don't belong to any of those. And there are many, the non-aligned, like myself. We are many. There are also Muslims who don't have any preface, who don't have any connection with other Tijaniya, Al-Sunnah, Wal Jama'ah, the Salafi, the Sufi, the Istiqama. We are non-aligned. And I think they will be the majority. Muslims who are just Muslims, who are Muslims, by the Quran, and the Sunnah, and they don't belong to any group. They seem to be many as well. And so this is the dimensions of Muslim groupings in the country. Now, let me take you through the structure of Muslim leadership in Ghana. Ghana has various diverse leadership of Muslims, but we have one that has been recognized as the national leader of Muslims, and it's called the National Chief Imam. The National Chief Imam. In some places, you may call him the National Mufti, but he's the National Chief Imam, who is the head of Muslims in Ghana. And you cannot do anything around Islam without consulting the leadership, of the National chief imam. Then, so at the very top, you have the national chief imam, who said Tijaniya, but he doesn't. His leadership, is ahead of any other grouping, in the country. Then, if you go to the grouping that we have the Ahlul Sunnah has their national imam, the Shia has their national imam, the Tijaniya, they have their national imams. The other groupings, we have various other groups, they all have their national imams, and they all come under the national chief imam. Then we have other leadership apart from the imamship. We also have other leadership, like the National Council of Zongo Chiefs. When we say Zongo in Ghana, we are referring to communities, specifically established by Muslims, but also we also have non-Muslims who live there, but majority are Muslims. Enclaves of Muslim, inhabitants are called the Zongo, and we have leaders of various tribes, leaders of various ethnic groups, who are recognized as well, as leading Muslim chiefs or Muslim leaders. And so they have their national caricature called the National Council of Zongo Chiefs. Then we have leaders of national Muslim organizations. There are other Muslim organizations who are not necessarily, the sectarian type, who are not necessarily other Ahlul Sunnah, other Tijaniya, other Shia. Their leadership, that comes as a result of an organization to serve the Muslim Ummah. Then when you go to the regions, Ghana has been divided into 16. So we have 16 regions that make up Ghana. And when you go to each of the regions, we have imams who are representing the regions, and they all also come under their national imams, and their national imams come under the national chief imam. And then when you go to the communities, every community, within every town or city have, a community imam, and we have a Muslim chief called Sarkin Zongo. Every community has, so if you come to Accra, for example, Accra is a big city. We have various communities, various, towns that put together to make the Accra main city. And if you go to any of the communities, there's an imam. Every community you go, you have a mosque, you have an imam, and the imam also has Sarkin Zongo. Sarkin Zongo is the chief of Muslims, and they all work together for the development of the Ummah. Then, if you come to the national level, like I said, apart from the doctrinal groupings that you find, we have organizations that have so much influence. So we have the Federation of Muslim Councils, which is there in Ghana, and they are mentioned in the Constitution of Ghana at the moment as people who represent the Muslim community somehow within the segment of the Muslim, the Ghanaian nation. And then we have, of course, the Ghana Muslim Mission, which is also an organized national body, group of Muslims, who come together for development. They have schools, they have hospitals, they are very well recognized. Ghana Muslim Mission. Then we have Coalition of Muslim Organizations Ghana. There's an organization that seem to project the image of leadership of Muslims in Ghana. They also work with the Coalition of Muslim Organizations who have come together to support. And I'm happy to say that I was part of establishing this organization over 20 years ago. Then we have Federation of Muslim Women Associations in Ghana. We have an organization that brings all Muslim women groups together in Ghana, and they are called Federation of Muslim Women Association in Ghana, Form 1. And they are very powerful. They are very powerful. You can't do anything at the moment in Ghana when it comes to Muslim affairs without consulting, Form 1. And then I've talked about the National Council of Zongo Chiefs. Then we have currently a very big one, which actually come to bring all these organizations together. It's a current development. I will discuss much about it as we go, called the National Muslim Conference of Ghana. It is headed by the National Chief Imam, and all the national imams, of the various sects, various groupings, various organizations are all, and leaders of those are all under the National Chief Imam, under this National Muslim Conference. It was established 2 years ago. It was an idea that came from the Muslim caucus in Parliament of Ghana. Muslim caucus in Parliament of Ghana, and I will discuss much about this when we get to how Muslims are actually, the role Muslims are playing, especially when it comes to our challenges. Good. Then, now I want to look at Muslims in Ghana and nation building. I've told you Islam was there before Ghana became a state. Muslims were in Ghana, before we had the country called Ghana. They were even there before the Gold Coast, which was colonized by the British. And since then they have been, doing their bit in national development. They have been their bit in national development. When it comes to education, I think it is something that the literature captures. Everybody knows in Ghana that Muslims were the first to bring, education to Ghana. In any case, Islam was the first religion to come to Ghana, apart from our traditional religion. Islam was the first to come. Islam came to Ghana long before Christianity came. And so we'll come to look at how come Islam came long before, and now we have Christians who are 71%, and we are 20%. We'll come to negotiate that. But again, education starts with reading and writing, literacy. And Islam was the first religion that brought education to Ghana, even though it was informal. Muslims were in Ghana and they were able to write Arabic and read Arabic long before the British came to Ghana to talk about education. And so, a lot of the Ghana's history and heritage is actually, written in Arabic. If you want to get proper Ghana's history, it is written in Arabic, because before the British came, Ghana, in the Gold Coast, and before Gold Coast, Ghana was there. Okay, that, historical Ghana was there. And at that time, the only way you can read and write was to read and write in Arabic. Those who were there as secretaries, to the various kingdoms were Muslims who came from the North Africa, in particular, and they were able to, record all the activities of Ghana at the time. And so we were the first to bring literacy to Ghana. And I think a lot of even Muslims in Ghana do not know that. And that literacy, was actually through the introduction of Arabic education because of Islam. Arabic education, because of Islam. And so since then, Ghana, Muslims have been able to help in educating the country, to the point of, 1987, where the Arabic education was transformed into what we call the Islamic Education Unit, where, the Quranic education and also, modern, secular education was fused together, where Muslims can go to schools where they can have both Arabic and English education. As we speak right now, Muslims, have about 4 universities. 4 universities in Ghana. We have 4 universities in Ghana. We have about over 40 senior high schools, secondary schools, senior high schools in Ghana. And we have over 2,000. If we put all Muslim schools together, we have over 2,000 primary and junior high schools in Ghana. And these have all helped in ensuring that children go to school, especially from the Muslim community. And so when it comes to nation building regarding to education, I think Muslims have done a lot and we can do more. But the irony, we will come to get to the challenges. The irony is that as we develop education and people take over education, Muslims in Ghana are lagging behind in education. And that is why, we'll come to know that we are not as influential as we will expect Muslims to do. If we're the first to be in this country, then we shall be more influential than any other group that is in this country. But that is not the case. The case is not, that Muslims are more influential than Christians. Christians are more influential than Muslims. We will come to see that, because of we relaxed in our educational system. We didn't prioritize education at a certain point in time. And therefore, we are greatly lagging in education. When it comes to what we call competitive courses in education, like Muslim being engineers, Muslim doctors, Muslim nurses, even teachers, Muslim teachers. We don't have enough, Muslim teachers, Muslim engineers, Muslim doctors, Muslim biology. We don't have people Muslim in the sciences, because we at a point in time we stopped planning. We stopped planning for the future, and so we are now lagging behind in this area of education, and therefore that is where especially our challenges lie. Then, when it comes to politics, Muslims in Ghana indulge or engage in politics even before independence. Because we're here and we knew what we wanted. Our earlier leaders or fathers got to know that it is through the vehicle of politics that we can develop the Muslim Ummah in Ghana. And so it is on record that in the Ghana's history, before even independence, the only religious organization or religious group that formed political party was Islam. So we have what we call the Muslim Association Party. It was formed out of a Muslim Welfare Association in the Gold Coast. Whilst Ghana was getting into independence, by 1954, the Muslim Association Party was formed. And the idea was to also get into politics and get what politics can offer, for the development of the Muslim community in Ghana. But then after independence, when Kwame Nkrumah, finally won, forming party on the lines of religion was banned. Religion and ethnicity was banned. But it tells you really that if at that time Muslims were able to even form a political party, a very formidable political party, then it means that at even that time, Muslims were so much aware of how they can use politics, to enhance the development of the Ummah. At the moment, in the contemporary, the current politics that is done in Ghana, I've told you, we have, a Christian president and we have a Muslim vice president. And I will say again that, he became a vice president. The Muslim became a vice president because he was a Muslim, not because he was good. He's good. Our current vice president is good in terms of his intellectual ability. But again, he was chosen because of his Islam. He was chosen because of his Islam, and so it tells you the influence of Islam in politics. As we speak right now, in Parliament of Ghana, in the Parliament of Ghana, we have 46 MPs who are Muslims. The Muslim caucus in Parliament are about 46, out of the 275 MPs, members of Parliament. So you can see that even though we are in politics, we also have a long way to go, But we have Muslims, about 46 Muslims. We have Muslims who are ministers. We have Muslims who are heads of organizations. There are not many. We wish that we have a lot of Muslims who are Muslims, who are ministers, and who are also in a very good position to help the Ummah to grow. And so if you go to any political party, you will find in Ghana the prominent political parties, whether National Democratic Congress or the New Patriotic Party, you will find Muslims who are well embedded within the leadership of the party. So we are not doing that at all. But in politics, when you come to politics in Ghana, if you come to the base, if you come to the downtrodden, we have plenty of Muslims who are in support of political parties or actively involved in politics. But as you go up, the numbers of Muslims, if you go up in each political party or each political system, you see the Muslims, getting lower and lower. And so I think we need to push Muslims, in this country to be able to, get to the top as far as politics is concerned. But one thing that is known for Muslims in Ghana, and I call it social capital, the social capital that Muslims have in Ghana, and it's helping the national development, nation building, is how peaceful Muslims are. Muslims are peaceful in Ghana. And I have done a research recently, with non-Muslims, to ask how they perceive Muslims in Ghana to be. They see Muslims in Ghana as the most peaceful religious group in the country. They think that, it's as a result of the fact that Muslims are peaceful in Ghana. That's one of the reasons why Ghana is a peaceful country. By the way, I didn't say that Ghana is one of the most peaceful countries in the western part of Africa and also in the world. I think it is in the world. But ironically, around us, our neighbors are not at peace. If you go to Burkina Faso in the north, if you go to Togo, is it in the west? Togo, Lomé in the west. You get to Ivory Coast. Ivory Coast is in the west, Togo is in the east. And if you go to all the countries around us, there's some problem of peace. There's not so much of peace, and yet Ghana, we are very much peaceful. And it is because the religious people in Ghana are most peaceful. And if you come to religious people being peaceful, the Muslims in Ghana are seen to be very, very peaceful. We'll come to that whether that peace, has actually inured to the benefit of Muslims themselves. But of course, the other religions feel that Muslims are peaceful. If you come to Ghana, you find that people who engage in trade and businesses, a lot of them are Muslims. Be it at the lowest level of trading or the highest level, you can find Muslims who are, businessmen and businesswomen, traders, who are engaged in economic activities of this country. And so when it comes to economic activity, you cannot mention Ghana's progress without also mentioning some Muslims who have engaged in economic activities that help Ghana to grow as a country. There are many instances we can give those of us from Ghana to know that we have serious business people who are who are Muslims and who are into businesses. When you come to sports, it's one of the places where Muslims in Ghana have showcased their love for the country. There has not been any single Ghanaian team at the national level, at all levels, without Muslims being part of it. As we speak right now, the Ghana's team at the World Cup, out of the 26 team which was selected, 14 are Muslims. 14 are Muslims. So you can see that Muslims actually project the image of Ghana through football. And you can check there's no any team that has ever come to enhance the image of Ghana at the football level in particular without mentioning the names of Muslims. Muslims have been there. And if you come to Ghana, we have names that people are very particular with. Then character training for the youth. I think through our education, through our madrasa systems, through our makaranta systems, through our Islamic education, we have also contributed immensely in the training of the character of the youth. And so that one, has actually given Islam some image. So anytime government want to talk about, character training and want to use the religious people, you cannot do without the Muslims. We've played our part. We can ensure that, children are having, character, that will enhance, their own development of their religion and development of their country. Now, let me come to the challenges facing Muslims in Ghana, our main challenges. And I think that is one of the issues we wanted to raise in this lecture. You've heard of all the good things about Muslims in Ghana and how we are contributing to the development of the country and how we are having influence in Ghana. But the community has a lot of challenges. We should have been better placed than where we are now. We should be, more influencer in the country than where we are now. And one of the problems that we face, is the fact that Muslims are not united. Muslims tend to be good with other, members of other religions, but when it comes to Muslims themselves, there's so much inner fighting. There's an interfaith problem, in Ghana. And so Muslims are not united and they are not focused on things that can help them to develop themselves and also develop their own country. And so there's that problem of Muslim cohesion, where Muslims are coming together, because we are minority, come together to think about what is our challenge and how can all of us together help to proffer solutions and get solutions to those problems. You find the Tijani and Ahlus Sunnah, the Shia, and Ahlus Sunnah, the various organizations fighting within ourselves, and that has brought us back. That has not helped us to develop properly. And so I think that, I've been saying to people that the last time I was checking and I was doing some calculation, the development deficit that confront Muslims in Ghana is over 100 years. It's over a century, because I picked my analysis on the fact that Ahmadiyya Muslim Mission came to Ghana in 1921. And by the time Ahmadiyya came to Ghana, Islam was in Ghana for over 200 years. And since they came up to date, we haven't seen so much progress as expected within the Muslim community ourselves. We should have gone beyond where we are, far, far beyond, if we were united, we were purposeful, we were together, and we think alike, and we think for the future generation. And so lack of cohesion, is a problem. And so one of the research I did, I asked a national imam in Ghana and said, do you think Muslims are peaceful in Ghana? And he said, oh yes, Muslims are peaceful when it comes to their relationship with Christians. But when it comes to Muslims are prepared to sit with other religious group members, and with Christians to sit down and discuss about development. But Muslims in Ghana are not prepared to sit together and discuss about development about their own selves. So, and that is a tragedy. And so that's one of the challenges that we have now. But there's a system that is coming up. There's an initiative that is coming up that is ensuring that Muslims come together, for our own development. So, so I told you about education. Even though we've brought education to Ghana, and I've told you we have now 4 universities, Muslim universities can count in Ghana, but if you go look at our educational system, we have 40 secondary schools, we have over 2,000 primary schools. They are not quality schools. They are not qualitative, especially at the basic level. And so once they are not qualitative, we don't get our children to pass qualitatively to get very good schools at the high schools. And then also at the, get good courses at the universities. And so because we don't have a good foundation, of a school, all our schools are very dilapidated. And sometimes you go to our schools and you don't even found the Islam based on which it was actually established in those schools. And so they finish school that getting to the top. And so only few Muslims are able to get through and get good courses at the university to do. And that one, if you do that, you can be influential in a country where there's so much competition. In a country where, various, your other groups, like the Christian group, is well organized and they are focusing on education and they are getting people to get to the every aspect of education in the country. You can't compete with them. You can't compete, favorably with them when you don't have, such leverage. And so education is a problem. We need to focus on education and get the best of education of the contemporary times and be able to be on the table or at the table with everybody who must be at the table at every level of the organization of the nation, be it at the government level, be at the politics level, whatever level you find, even if you don't find much Muslims, we must find 99.9% of Muslims represented at the place. At the moment, if you check the number of teachers that we have in the country, it's huge. But Muslims are few. If you go to our own schools, you don't even find, a lot of our schools find Muslims teaching in the schools. And yet we want to have our own school. You find non-Muslims, Christians who are leaders who are the head teachers of the schools and who are also teaching the school. We don't have a plan. We don't have a plan to get these things done. And so education is one of the major challenges that we have. And then connected to that, of course, is the youth idleness. You find a lot of our youth who are not doing anything. And so, they say, an idle hand is the hand for the devil, is there for the devil. And so, our youth are into many, bad activities because they have not been pushed to go to school. They have not been pushed, they have been idle. They don't have skills. They don't, they have not learned any skills that will help them to, generate their own employment. We have a lot of youth who are idle around. And that's one of the major challenges so our community is effectively not, economically, powerful. There's no any economic activities, there are not many economic activities that are given to the youth to do. So that's one of our challenges. You have idle youth who don't have anything to do. And because we haven't prioritized education, we haven't prioritized, technical training or vocational training for them. Then I come back to our, now I call it lack of effective Islamic moral training in schools. You have the schools, you don't have the scholars, you don't have the, the Islamic system in place. So your children, you have the schools, your children go to school, and yet, they don't get proper Islamic training. And that is a major challenge. So you find a lot of Muslims, even those who are able to get up there, they don't have, their background in Islam is very, very, very poor. And so they are not able to connect with the community, and so that is one of the major problems. And finally, general economic empowerment. Yeah, we lack. So if you come to Ghana, even though we have traders and business people, one of the constituencies that is seen to be poor is the Muslim community. It is a known fact. If you come to Ghana and they want to identify the Muslim communities that are poor, they will find the Muslim communities that are poor because a lot of the majority of the people are not economically empowered. And so we are poor. But when you are poor economically, then your influence can be very, very, very minimal. Your influence within the society can be very, very minimal. And that is the challenge, one of the challenges we are facing now. But apart with all these challenges, we have prospects. I've told you how Islam came to Ghana. Muslims are bona fide citizens of this country. And they can be better than where we are now. We can be better than where we are now. We can be very, very, very useful to our own communities and to our own country. But we need to look at things that can make us better. We must come together. We must unite. We must come together and pull our resources together. And that is what the National Muslim Conference, NMC, is trying to do. NMC came into being last year, 2001, headed by the National Chief Imam, bringing all Muslim organizations, not only the sectarian organizations or groups, but all Muslim organizations under one umbrella. And our determination is that we are going to tackle education, we are going to tackle finance, and also we are going to tackle economic empowerment. We are going to also tackle health, education, health, economic empowerment. And that is the essence of the National Muslim Conference. And so it is 2 years now. The last time we had a conference was just this October, and it was a very national conference that brought everybody. All the organizations I mentioned were there. And so we are trying to pull our resources together because we know for sure that the Quran says, "Inna Allah la yughayyiru ma biqawmin hatta yughayyiru ma bi anfusihim." Allah will not change the condition of a people unless you start the changing process yourself. And that is the motto that the Muslim Ummah is trying to pick now through the National Muslim Conference. The National Muslim Conference was actually, like I told you, was actually initiated by the Muslim caucus in Parliament. Muslims in Parliament thought that if we don't come together and pull our resources together, we cannot be able to impact in Ghana. We can't have the influence that we need to have as a state, recognized state, public, religion in the country. And so the National Muslim Conference is trying to do that. Again, I see prospect in the fact that we have very determined Ghanaian Muslim youth today, who are willing, to go to the heights, to go beyond the skies. I can see commitment from the youth, and I have been working with the youth. And so my hope, is the youth, that the youth can do better than us. And I think that if we are able to mobilize, galvanize, give them the support, our youth can go beyond the skies, and they can actually influence, issues in Ghana. They can contribute meaningfully to the development of the Muslim community and our country as a whole. And again, I've also seen some Muslims having interest in politics. Now, like I said, in every political party, you find strong Muslims who are well, stationed within the party structure, to be able to contribute. And so we expect Muslims to get more into politics. It's the politics that will be used as a vehicle for development. And so we must be part of the national politics that is done. And so I'm happy to see a lot of Muslim youth now very eager to be part of, the politics, the national politics that we are doing today. Then again, I can also see, some years back when we were in secondary school, you could not find a lot of Muslim lecturers, for instance, a lot of Muslim professionals, for instance. You hardly get them. But today we have a lot of them who are, positioned in certain places. We need more of them. We need more of them. But the fact that they are present, if we bring them together, Muslim academics and professionals, then they can lead us. They can help us to grow as a community. And they can actually, position us in a way that we can have so much influence in what goes on in this country. My conclusion, I told you I'm not going to speak much and give you an opportunity. My conclusion, and I've said it very clearly, Muslims in Ghana have the leverage to better, themselves, in terms of religion, in terms of social, political, economic, and they can contribute meaningfully and effectively, if they come together, they unite and they cooperate with one another. And so I think that if Muslims are cooperating among themselves and also conversing among themselves and strategizing among themselves, they can be better than what they are today. And that is what I think the National Muslim Conference is doing. And I am behind them 100%, that if they're able to bring Muslims together and focus on the issue of education, health, and economic empowerment, Muslims and Islam in Ghana will be better than where we are today. Thank you very much. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you very much, Dr. Haruna. That was indeed very insightful presentation that you have given us a very comprehensive information about Muslims in Ghana. And I'm very happy to know that that Muslims, regardless of the challenges that they face in Ghana, they are very active in many parts of or in many aspects, let's say, or dimensions when I look at the community of Ghana as a whole. So when you look at, let me just briefly summarize what you just mentioned here. So when you look at, you provided for us certain figures related to the Muslim population is almost 20%. And you mentioned that Islam came before Ghana got independence. It goes before 17th century. And what we see, the real problem and your concern that you mentioned here, it is about the division that we can see among the Muslims. So Muslims, they have divided themselves into different groups, and they claim to be better than the other group. So there is like a clash between the Muslims themselves. So and what you have mentioned here, that you are calling for this unity among the Muslims. So that is very important, and that is related to the very theme of our talk here. When I talk about the unity of Muslims wherever they are, regardless of their differences, because the identity will make them to come closer to one another and to become united. And we are very happy to hear that again, that in education you are having 4 big universities, and even though there is a lack of lectures in teaching, but still there are many schools that are serving the Muslim community. So this is good, as well, compared to when I look at other Muslim communities that are considered as minorities, they might have less compared to what you have. And you mentioned that the influence of the Muslims can be seen in different aspects of Ghanaian society, even to the top leadership. When I look at you have ministers who are Muslims, who are contributing to the country as a whole. We look at the education sector. You mentioned that in the sport, in the sport team, 14 of them are Muslims. So it means that Muslims are, even though they are very small in number, but we can see the influence there as well. But yet you mentioned that you are not happy.
Yes.
So this is a good point as well. So this will make Muslims to work harder, to be seen more to be more visible in the community. Even though they are, but still that shows that this will create a kind of awareness and motivation for Muslims to work harder and harder. So this is very good. And you mentioned this. Indeed, these are very important when I look at. You have well-established Muslim organizations there. This is very good. So when you look at what you have presented, and you see that the only hope that you mentioned is depends on the Muslim youth, and you have come out with the idea through this conference that you organize for the Muslims. This will bring them together and to create this awareness among the Muslims in Ghana. So this is great. I mean, Alhamdulillah, I'm very, very happy to hear that. And I believe that the audience that was listening to your presentation benefited a lot. This is wonderful. This is great. It is very important for us to be aware of and to be concerned about Muslims wherever they are. So that is the very important aim of having this, this seminar and inviting you. And before because I got this information late that I came to know that Dr. Haruna, he's the IIIT representative in Ghana as well. So Alhamdulillah, when you look at the, this is, we know the contribution of IIIT wherever it is. So they have contributed to Muslims greatly over all the world, And before I open the floor, for questions or comments, I would like to mention here very clear that I'm very thankful to Brother Bashiru Mohammed. So he's a student who is taking in Integrated Knowledge Academia, and that is with IIIT. And he is the one who introduced Dr. Haruna, and he was very much confident, and we have seen the way he presented, mashallah. So thank you very much, Dr. Bashiru. So we appreciate very much your contribution for what you have done, and we can see that this will not be the first and the last. So we are going to continue to have other talks about Muslims in Ghana, inshallah. So now, without any further delay, I would like to open for questions and answers, please. Any one of you would like to have any comment or any suggestion or any question, you can straightforward. You can just ask the question to the speaker directly. We have time. We have ample time. Yes, Bashiru.
Thank you very much, Professor. I don't have a question. Mine is just a little comment. I think I misinformed you. The coordinator is rather Sheikh Said Mukhtar, and he's part of the meeting at the moment. Dr. Zagun is only helping out. Okay. When I was typing, I think there was a typing mistake which I made. So Sheikh Said is part of the meeting currently. SAID Academy. He is a coordinator. But okay. Dr. Zagun is helping him out, and they are very close friends actually. So that was what I wanted to.
Thank you for clarifying. Because when I look at Said, I thought the same Said that we are. Harun Zagun has this Said, But thank you, clarified. So the intention is counted. Alhamdulillah. Everyone is working for the Muslim Ummah. Alhamdulillah. Okay, Suala, please.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alaikum salam.
Thank you so much, Dr. Fatimir Shehu. I don't have a question, actually. I want to commend the resource person, Dr. Haruna, for the very deep and thought-provoking lecture he has given us, actually. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless him.
Amen.
I am a Ghanaian, actually. I'm a Ghanaian. I'm also a product of the triple IT. Yes, I'm currently in the UAE. I'm currently in Dubai, actually. Please, I want to humbly ask if it's possible to get the slides of the presentation from the resource person, Dr. Haruna, if it's possible, so that we can read over it after the lecture, and then inshallah get some more understanding and comprehension. That is my request. Thank you so much.
Okay, so the slides will be with the IMU. It's really appropriate, so they will send to you. But I think you would rather more even need the recording of the session.
It is recorded. This is recorded. This will be on the YouTube. You can easily get.
You get more explanation from that.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Dr. Haruna, you can stop sharing this, so then we have.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, please, I'd like to invite others. I would like to hear from others. Dr. Haruna, since maybe we're waiting for, let me just, okay, we have there is one question just was written now in the chat. What advice do you have on the issue of proliferation of Muslim associations with identical vision and mission? Do you think this is a good development of there's a better way this should be done? This is by Brother Idris Muhammad. So would you like to comment on this, Dr. Please?
Yes. I think that what I've come to realize in Ghana is the fact that you can't stop organizations being formed. Organizations will come, some have died, some are there, very defunct, but people also want to have organization. But what is important is that whatever organization you bring, try to relate and connect with everybody. That is why and I think the National Muslim Conference idea is very important. So that, whatever organization you have some ideas you want to share, you have something that you want to help Islam develop in Ghana, connect with others. Because like I said, that gap for 100 years cannot be filled by no single organization can fill that gap unless you get, the support of others. So if we come together, we can't fill in that gap. No single organization can do that. And so you form an organization, you want to help Muslims, that's fine, but you connect with others who were there before you. You connect with all of you. We should have a forum or a platform that we all meet to discuss our common, problems and how we can resolve the problem.
I just wanted to maybe you can provide some more clarification when it comes to the Muslim women. Do they face any challenge about the dress code in the public or in the government sectors? Maybe since you mentioned there is a woman association, Muslim association.
Very good question, and thank you for this. One of the problems that the Muslim woman in Ghana, is facing is the wearing of hijab at certain places. Especially our children who are into schools, who are not, Muslim schools. The good schools, the best good schools in Ghana, especially pre-university level, are not Muslim schools. Okay, and so our children who are able to get to that best schools they are not allowed to put on their hijab. But most of those schools have been actually been established by Christian missions. And so it's one of the problems that we have, you know, as a community in Ghana. But we are trying to navigate around, you know, to get, you know, things done. But it's all because we don't have, you know, the influence. It's all because we don't have the needed influence to be able to, you know, ensure that things are done. If you come to the Constitution of Ghana, Ghana allows for freedom of religion. And so this should have been allowed. But in some cases, nurses are not allowed to put on their hijab, even though the Constitution is very clear that they should be allowed. You know, but because, you know, the power and the influence with others, they can use their influence not to allow, you know, the Muslim. But generally, you know, in the public space, Muslims are allowed to put on their hijab. Muslim ladies are allowed to put on their hijabs and go around. But in some places, they are allowed not to. You know, nursing colleges, some schools, you know, our girls are asked not to put on their hijab. And it's all because we are not influential enough. That's why we need to get to the table where there's no, the decisions are made, you know, for us to get, you know, things that are very important to the Ummah.
Yeah, thank you very much for the clarification, Dr. Arun. Thank you very much. So we have another question. So there is again Idris Muhammad. In the chat, he said that besides sectarianism, tribalism seems to be one of the affronts to Muslim unity and development in Ghana. Because you mentioned one of these associations, what recommendations do you have for that? Another one we have from Bashiru. Please, can you touch a bit on the Kayaye plight? Do you see it as a Muslim problem or a tribal problem? Okay, this is good because this might, I mean, influence, or maybe others think that how Muslims are attached to these groups, you know.
Okay, so the first one, I didn't get it right. Apart from the Kayaye, the other one, the first one, the Idris's, but Idris' question. What is the question?
The first one said that besides sectarianism, tribalism seems to be one of the affronts to Muslim unity and development in Ghana. What recommendations do you have for that?
Yes, so you know, the reason why I didn't even mention tribalism is because it's not only in Ghana, tribalism is not only, you know, within the Muslims only. It's a general problem in Africa. It's a general problem, and people want to, you know, align with their tribal men and women than others. And so, but as Muslims, we expect that we come together as Muslims and not tribes, as the Quran has clearly stated to us. You know, but you find even within the Muslim community, apart from our sectarianism, you know, we also use tribalism as well. That is even more dividing us the more. You know, and once, you know, we are more divided, we can't have a, you know, a place to stand. And so I agree with you. Tribalism is also one of the case, you know, problems, you know, within the Muslim communities. But we need to, you know, embrace Islam, you know, wholly, and say that, you know, we don't have to engage in tribalism. We don't have to engage in tribalism. And once we don't put all these divisions aside, there is no way we can get the influence we want to have. There's no way we can have the development that we want to have as a community. So thank you very much, Brother Idris, for reminding us that tribalism is another case, you know, within our setup. And then, yes, Kayaye, in Ghana, we have young girls coming from the north, and most of them, a majority of them are Muslims, from Muslim homes. They come to the cities, you know, on their own, and they come and they carry goods for people in the markets. Okay, and sometimes they are abused. Sometimes they get pregnant and, you know, give birth out of wedlock. You know, many, you know, some are so much violently abused. You know, and so yes, we can say that it is also happening because, you know, the Muslims are not organized. You know, because a lot of them, if you censor them, if you take any 10 of the Kayayes and you mention their name, they will mention Muslim names to you. they will mention about 9 of them or 8 of them will mention Muslim names to you. So if you have a welfare system that can take care of the youth, of course, those who come are young girls. Some are as young as 10, 11. They come, they leave their villages and come to the city, and they don't know, they sleep outside, they work on their own, they are abused. If Muslim community has organized system, this wouldn't happen. It's our problem, even though it is seen as a national problem, but I think it's more Muslim problem than national problem.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Harun. Now we have Warisa Azizi. She has raised her hand, then we listen to Raihan later. Yes, Warisa, please.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'm really happy I'm here and I'm here about the Muslim in Ghana. My question is, as we know that youth are really important in keeping the Islam in a country. So what is the most important and strong point among the Muslim youth in Ghana that we should focus and develop it? And what is the most negative point among the youth in Ghana that we should that all the order of Ghana should focus and they should decrease and control it? And this is my question. And thank you.
Thank you, sister. Yeah, thank you, Sister Warisa. And I appreciate your question. I think that we need to focus on education of the Muslim youth. And once we do that, we can turn them into a very formidable, powerhouse that can change the circumstance of Muslims in Ghana. And so we must focus on education. But as we focus on education, we must also focus on what we call holistic education, where the children or the youth are given the skills, to have their livelihood, at the same time to being taught Islam, being naturally taught to know God, to know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And once they have the morals in hand and they also have education, then they can be the agents of change that we want them to be. And so if you want, the strength is that they are enthusiastic to go to school if we push them to go to school. Muslims in Ghana are youth in Ghana are very enthusiastic to go to school and learn something new if they can get the opportunity. We must create the opportunity for them. It is their hak. It is their right to demand from us to get education. We must do that. Then, we must, as we do that, we also teach them, our characters. Characters, remember the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, is reported to have said, I was commissioned as a prophet to come and perfect morals. So you can't develop the youth without developing the morals. And for now, a lot of our youth are below morals. They are not having the needed morals because we have not given it to them. We haven't actually, identified them that they are the future, that we must give them all this. And once we do, we give the morals and we also give education. They can be the best asset that we want them to be.
Thank you. Thank you so much for this. Thank you.
So can we listen to Raihan, please?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
We thank Allah for this thought-provoking lecture, and we also thank the organizers and the speaker, Doc. I want to make a comment, sort of, it has to do with the need. I mean, I'm just probably going to harp on the need for us to work together as a community of Muslims. Again, more so when we are even in the minority. I think in times past, what has gotten in the way of us coming together to champion the cause of Islam is lack of trust among each other. Right. And even recently, when NMC came up, I mean, there were people who were making a whole lot of issue around it, that we are there before and all of those things. I have said that when we go to the Christian side of the divide, they have Pentecost, they have Methodists, they have Presby, and so on. But when it comes to probably working against or working for themselves as Christians, they close their ranks and then they tackle the issue. A case in point is what happened during the issue of the Wesley girls brouhaha. They never left each other. They came together, even though they have their internal disagreement. They didn't, at that particular point in time, they were dealing with Muslims and they were ready to come together and good. And I think that it's rather sad that they are doing it for us to see. I mean, we are the ones who must really champion such a cause. Anytime we can have our differences, even during the National Muslim Council, the recent conference they had. I mean, there were speakers who were saying they suspect people. I'm saying, why do you go and make such a speech? I mean, a Muslim, even the Quran says we shouldn't suspect each other in the first place. So even if you have some suspicion, you have to be a little bit careful the way you throw words like that around that you suspect. As for suspicion, we can all suspect each other anyway. But Allah has even advised us to keep, because most of the time, what we even suspect is wrong. So may Allah help us to work with Ikhlas in the various organizations so that when it's time for us to come together and champion the cause of Islam, we would be able to do so. Jazakallah khair.
Good. So Malam Rehan, I really appreciate your point. And what brings about the mistrust and the stereotyping is the fact that we are not interacting. Muslims have not been interacting. We have been in our small silos. When we are not talking to one another. And when there's no interaction within people, suspicions and mistrust and stereotype, when we have what we call even enemy imaging, they all come in because you don't talk to one another. And so that's the problem with the Muslim community in Ghana. We are not constructively talking to one another. And we judge even when we have not talked to one another. Okay. And so as we get to talk to one another, we will dispel the mistrust gradually. It doesn't come automatic. Gradually the mistrust will go and we can now get to understand one another. And then now we can have development. And so it's a process that must be continued gradually. We shouldn't lose hope. Some people may mistrust, some people may say things that are not right, but we need to persevere and ensure that we are bringing everybody together and talking to one another. Once we talk, we will come to realize that we have the same challenges and problems. And we will come to realize that one person cannot solve the problems. All of us will have to come together to resolve the problems.
Dr. Haruna, there is a comment and a question, or two questions when you look at the chat. If you're able, the comment is from Yusuf, Brother Yusuf. He said that, please, would you agree with me that the situation of Muslims in Ghana is more of leadership and lack of understanding the main responsibility? So that is the Brother Yusuf. Then
another question. Yes, yes, I have, many times said that I'm now coming to understand that our problem is not just leadership. Our problem is lack of commitment on every Muslim's side to see Muslims develop. Sometimes we task the people, they are leaders, they should do it. Well, they should do it. Have you enhanced them to be effective leaders? Have we? Especially, for instance, we Muslim professionals, what have we done much to support our deen, to support our community? We grew from the same community, we get to the top and we forget about the community. And so I think even our major problem is rather parental irresponsibility. Parental irresponsibility. And I've mentioned it in my book some time ago. Muslim parents are not so much worried about why their children are not going to school, why we should come together. So that the problems start from the grassroots rather than to the top. So I'm seeing the problem from the down rather than the top. But most of the Muslims see our leadership. Who is leader? Who made him leader? And if there's a leader and the followers are not good, would you have a leader? So the followers are not doing anything, and yet we want to push the whole thing on leaders. So I don't agree totally that our problem is about leadership. Our poem is all about Muslim commitment. If we are all committed and we understand our religion and we want to come together, we can make it. But if all of us are suspecting one another and we want to push the whole thing on the leadership, I don't think it's fair.
Okay, there is another comment by Brother Umtea Abu Shitu, says that I live in a village in Ghana by name Paha. This community is a Muslim majority zone. Christian missionaries are able to penetrate through this community in the name of organizing Saturday classes for lower primary kids. They do organize birthday parties for them. They go a long way to settle their medical bills. My worry is the target group, children who are below 10 years. It seems while we are concentrating in the urban center, we tend to forget our people in the village. Any comment? I mean,
yes, I agree with him, and that is the problem I'm saying, that Muslims have left what they are supposed to do, and always blaming others. What we are supposed to do, and blaming others, and we are forgetting about the grassroots, and we are always looking at the top. We are looking at when the national chief is not there, what is going to happen. I don't think anything will happen when the national chief is not there. What will happen is rather the fact that people at the grassroots need support to go to school. Children need support to go to school. Children need support, to be trained morally. We are not there, And so, like my brother is saying, we the professionals who came from the villages, we come to school. Allah made us, get the opportunity to go to school, and we remain at the cities. We don't go to the village. Everybody's from village. You have a village. Go back to your village and support, and get the Muslims, to get economic empowerment. And that's what I think we need to do. It is our duty. Islam, asks us, to show, our community to welfare of society. What are we doing? And so the Christians are entering. Yeah, it's not only a village. Many villages, they come, enter, and conquer. A lot of the KAs that I mentioned, they come to Accra. Is a Christian group that come together to give them some support, and they change some of them into Christians. We are there to fighting. You don't even want to talk to one another. We are there fighting among ourselves, whilst our sheep are being taken away.
Yeah, exactly. There is another. This brother Bashir would like you to comment more on the phenomenon of betting and the Sakawa plight.
Yes. It's something that had to do with our youth, and I have done research recently. We published research recently about the sport betting recently, where we find that even the sport betting companies are targeting our communities, because it's a community where nobody cares about the youth. Okay, the youth are just roaming around; they are not doing anything, so they are targeted to engage in sport betting. And we found over 58% or 48% of our, youth being targeted, in sport betting. We find them in, betting centers who are not going to school. It was a time of going to school, but they were all there not going to school. And we haven't seen any, group from our community saying that this is wrong. And so when we say Sakawa is the cyber fraud that young people do. In Ghana we call it Sakawa, but the cyber fraud. And because they are idle, and so in my presentation, I told you our youth are idle, and they are used for anything, so they can go for anything. Apart from Sakawa and the bet, they are into many other things. And instead of blaming the society and blaming those who must be responsible, we are blaming the youth. I will not blame the youth. They need leadership. They need to be guided. They need to be supported, and we are not giving the support. And if we don't come together as Muslim community, we can't do this. We need to come together to be able to fashion out the challenges and also fashion out how to resolve the challenges. And the youth is one of the key challenges that we are having. And so I agree with you, the Sakawa and the sport betting is one of the menaces that we are dealing with at the moment among Muslim youth in Ghana.
Okay, Dr. Harun, there is one without the name, the Zoom user. So raise the hand. Can we listen to him? Then we listen to Abbas. Maybe this will be the last two questions, I think. Okay, the first one, can you listen to there is no name. So the hand is raised by the Zoom user.
Zoom user.
The Zoom user, yeah, please.
Are you there, Zoom user? I think,
yes, please.
but Abbas wants to
I'm
speak.
here.
Okay,
I'm
yes,
here.
come.
Okay, it's here. It's here. Okay, please go ahead.
I'm here. Salam alaikum.
Yes, please go ahead.
Alexander.
And thanks for the opportunity. Mine is a concern on the breakdown of law and order in the Muslim community. There is totally breakdown of law and order in the Muslim community. Today, if you are talking about indiscipline, it is the Muslim community that comes to mind. The question I ask myself is Islam synonymous to indiscipline? The answer is certainly no. The question I ask myself is Islam rather promotes virtue, not vice. But today, our community is always associated with vices. The security services want to do raid. The community is our communities that they come and raid. That's why they come for those who are into drug peddling. That's why they come for those who are into criminal activities. There is a total breakdown of law and order in our community. And that's why I'm happy you said, look, let's all go back to the fundamentals. When we say leadership, it is not about the National Chief Imam at Fadama or his spokesperson. We are all leaders in our in our various homes. The fathers, the mothers, the community heads, we all have a responsibility to play. Some years ago, you couldn't do anything in the Muslim community and get away with it. If you were doing wrong, someone will call you and say, look, gentlemen, what you are doing is wrong. Today, we've all allowed, everybody is doing whatever he pleases. There is total breakdown of law and order. And until we revert this phenomenon or this canker, I'm sorry, one day we'll get up and our society wouldn't be there anymore. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, thank you. So Haruna, would you like to comment or just?
Yes, the same thing. No, until we come together, to strategize and fashion out how to develop our community, including curbing these menaces, we will be there. We'll be talking. We'll always be talking. And I think that that is why I want every organization, Muslim organization in Ghana, should take the organization very seriously and connect with the other organizations so that we can all together resolve the problem that confront our communities. If we want to do it, in our silos, we can't do it. We all have to come. That's why I'm so much passionate about this National Muslim Conference thing. It's bringing everybody on board. And once we all come together under the National Chief Imam, we should be able to do a lot of things that will bring sanity, within our communities. We all are responsible, and we must all get our hands on the deck to resolve the problems.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, can we listen to Abbas? Yeah, please.
Assalamu alaikum, Doc, and to everyone. I think I want to say that I perfectly agree with Doc on the issue of Muslims not being committed to, let me say, first of all, identifying our problems as Muslims in Ghana, and then secondly, trying to finding solutions to this problem. It looks as if we hardly care about the problems we are encountering in our communities, and because we are not really making time to identify them, not to even talk of finding solutions to them, the problems keeps on escalating. And then again, I want to say that within the past years, a lot of organizations have sprung up, all with the aims to object Muslims. But then I agree, it has been very difficult, from the organizational point of view. I would like to add.
There's a line.
Yeah, line, yes.
The connection. Abbas, we cannot hear you.
Hello.
Yes, now.
Yeah, we didn't hear the last bit of your statement.
Yeah, I'm saying that the last one is a question, and at the organizational level, we have issues of commitment, because at times people come together and then along the line you see that they all, I mean, withdraw back, and then they think because there are leaders in place they have to, you know, work out everything. How do we handle this commitment issue on the organizational level? Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Thank you. Good. So, Amir, thank you very much. Yes, I think we every organization, we need to identify with why it was formed and get what you call coalition partners. Now, people who believe in the objectives of the organization to work with. Sometimes we form organizations and we want the numbers. We don't want the work. Numbers doesn't work for me. I think that whoever you align with and the person understand the purpose of the organization and is ready to commit himself or herself to the organization is better. So if you are 2, you go ahead. If you are 3, you go ahead, but not the huge numbers, without the commitment. So we will need to clearly state from the beginning, the purpose and the objectives of the organization and how you want your members to be committed to it. It's a problem in a lot of organizations in Ghana here. People form organizations and, we have Ghana Academy of Muslim Professionals. We have plenty of members, but at meetings, only few people come to meeting. But we are working. For the past 30 years, we've been working. We don't wait for anybody. People go sleep and come back. People go sleep and come back. But the rest, few that we identify they are committed, we've put our house together and we are working. And that's how it's supposed to be. You don't want to wait for somebody to come. No, if you are waiting, then the organizations will die. But I think that what is important is that you need to commit or relate or connect your organization with others so that collectively we can solve the problems of the community.
Okay, we have maybe the last before we end, Abdul Hamid. We have Dr. Abdul Hamid. Please, Dr. Abdul Hamid.
Assalamu alaikum. Good evening. Thank you, mashallah. Thank you very much. It was a very fruitful and very useful presentation. We got so many things about Ghana. I was just commenting on what you have just said regarding the elite or the intellectuals of Ghana. They should do something for the society, because knowledge, if it is not disseminated, it is not shared, it is not what you call transformed from your heart, from your mind to society, it will be nothing. That's why in human resource they say the people do not care how much you know until they know how much you care. So it is extremely important for the intellectuals, those who have knowledge, especially the Muslims in Ghana, to help the society, to not to live in silo, to come down to the people and share with them the knowledge that they have gained. At the same time, also propose solutions to what the Muslims are facing today. This is my short comment, but the question is about, I don't know, maybe you have mentioned this, but I missed the first part of the presentation. Is there any connection, is there any coordination between you and the Muslims in Nigeria, especially Nigeria, but the other neighboring countries? I know in West Africa, almost the same culture, the same people. You have something to share, like we in East Africa, those who are in North and South Africa. If I am given the power to divide Africa, I will divide it into only 4 parts: North, East, West, and East. So in West Africa, you share so many common things, especially people in Nigeria and Ghana, like in Senegal and Gambia, almost the same people. So I think Nigeria is the closest country to you. Same people, you have so many things to share. So is there any coordination between you and the similar organizations, Muslim youth, for instance, in Nigeria? Because one of the sisters was asking about the empowerment of youth. So is there any coordination? Is there any what you call similarities between you and them? Visit one another, helping one another. Because if any country is affected with any source of social ills, for instance, nowadays we all face many social ills. So is there any coordination? This is my question. Thank you very much.
Shukran, Doctor. Thank you very much, Doctor. And I share with your comment. And I've learned from you, from human resource, that people do not care about how much you know until they know how much you care about them. And I'm writing it down. Good. Yes, that is the problem we have. We don't have, apart from triple IT, in recent time that has come to connect, Ghana and Nigeria and other West African countries. Sometimes we meet to share in terms of seminar and conferences. We don't have, I think, like you said, they are all facing the same problem that we are facing. Nigeria is even worse when it comes to the problem that Ghana is facing, but they are majority, so they don't seem to, see the actual effect of it, But we are in a minority, But I think that we need to have that relationship, connectivity with other Muslim communities in the sub-region. And I think Ghana, being a peaceful country within the sub-region, the most peaceful country in the sub-region, if we put our assets together, we can now connect with the others. You can find all the places, all the West African states, there are problems there. There are lack of peace, except Ghana. So if Ghana, Ghanaian Muslims are able to put their assets together, we can now, relate well or connect with our brothers and sisters in other countries within the sub-region. But for now, I've not seen any effective, collaboration that exists between Nigeria and Ghana, or Ghana and Burkina Faso, or Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire, or Ivory Coast, or Ghana and even Togo. Even Togo. Togo is just next year. Togo, I've not seen that, huge collaboration. But I know that, some organizations have connection with other organizations. But as a country, as a community in Ghana, where we have profile our solutions for our challenges, I'm not too sure that we have engaged, other people in the sub-region. But I'm sure that Ghana should take the lead. If we are able to organize ourselves, we have the peace to be able to organize ourselves. Once we are able to organize ourselves, we can connect with others within the sub-region. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Haruna, for being very patient to listen to all the comments and the questions, as well as responding in a very wisely manner. Alhamdulillah. So we have come to the end of this program. And on behalf of the International Institute for Muslim Unity, would like to thank you very much for facilitating us this, tonight's program about Muslims in Ghana, prospects and challenges. It was very fruitful and beneficial to all of us, alhamdulillah. And beside that, I would like to thank all the participants who were very patient with us up to this moment, listening, and those who gave the questions and raised the questions and made the very useful comments. We are very thankful to all of you. And we'd like to thank as well our team, the International Institute for Muslim Unity team. We have Sister Aziza and Nani, who have been working and following up all this from the beginning until tonight. So I'm very, very thankful to them for helping us as well. So would like to thank as well our university for facilitating for us all this that we have done, alhamdulillah. And another thing that I'd like to share with you before we leave, that we are planning to have an international conference on Muslim minorities next year, inshallah. So that's why we are having this series of talks about Muslim minorities in different parts of the Muslim world. And this will help us to have a very comprehensive information about Muslim wherever they are. So, and of course, above all, we have to be thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for providing for us all these good things that we have. Maybe others they don't have, alhamdulillah. So we are very thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And with that, would like to end the session for tonight. Subhanaka Allahumma bihamdik ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. So we end by reciting Surah Al-Asr. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Wal Asr inna al-insana lafi khusr illa alladhina amanu wa amilu s-salihat wa tawassaw bil haqq wa tawassaw bis sabr. Okay, thank you very much, and fi amanillah, all of you. Thank you again, Dr. Haruna. Thank you.
Thank you very much. My regards to all of you. Assalamu alaikum.
Alex, fi amanillah.
Fi amanillah.